Today, caught on camera.
Here we go again, a very dangerous high-speed chase. Ontario police in pursuit.
A driver in a stolen pickup plays a real-life game of Frogger as he cuts through intersections and weaves erratically through traffic. But when the roads leave him wanting more, it's time for some off-roading. Then,
either they didn't get the spike strip out in time, or he was able to maneuver around it.
a driver in a silver Toyota leads CHP on a multi-freeway chase. The crime, an alleged cell phone violation. When the pursuit makes it onto surface streets, the standoff begins.
If that truck would stop, CHP might be able to box this guy in.
When every second counts and every decision could be life or death, watch these incidents unfold from KTLA's Eye in the Sky. This is Caught on Camera.
Here we go again, a very dangerous high-speed chase. Ontario police in pursuit of the stolen pickup truck. They're southbound on Norwalk Boulevard. This pursuit's been going on for about 30 minutes, maybe a little less than that, but it started in the Ontario area, came westbound on the 60 freeway, south on the 605, got off in the Whittier area, made its way through surface streets, and here we are on Norwalk, crossing under the 5 freeway here as the Ontario police still in pursuit of this vehicle. They have two airships overhead, one from Ontario PD and another from the sheriff's. Wrong side of the road. Here we go.
It's an early February evening in Norwalk, but as the sun begins to set, the danger on the road is rising. Ontario police are in pursuit of a driver in a stolen pickup who's cutting through intersections, desperate to get away as he weaves around vehicles and pedestrians. All the while, tools and lumber appear to rattle and shake in the truck bed, posing another type of risk to those trailing behind.
You know, you take a look at this and you wonder about all the people that are at this hour, 5 o'clock, either getting home, making their way home, the pedestrians on the street, as he has no regard whatsoever for any of the motoring public nor the pedestrians there, as you can see right there, just blowing through that intersection, that stoplight. And we also saw him at some point going on the opposite side of the road, on opposite lanes, and it's really very dangerous. I'm surprised that the lumber has even just stayed put there and secure, because that's just another factor that could be dangerous for anyone that's driving behind him.
Oh, no doubt. So far, it's hanging in there. It looks like it's partially tied, so maybe that's what's keeping it in. But at these speeds, at the way the driver's driving recklessly through these intersections and making sudden turns, it's a surprise they're still in there. But at this point, the driver, we haven't been able to see if there's a passenger on board, but the driver with his window down, we got a close shot here. He's weaving around traffic here through a stop sign and right-hand turn into, it looks like, a neighborhood.
The aggressive tactics continue as the driver races through residential streets, slowing for a brief moment only as he approaches Imperial Highway and has to maneuver around a crush of cars.
Here we go. You got a stop sign there. We got cross-traffic cars coming against him, squeezing his way through there. Here's the major on, this is Imperial Highway, wrong direction, and he's going to go westbound here. So at this point, let me come out to a wide shot and see just how close the units are. They've kind of fallen back due to the fact that this driver's run multiple red lights and had to stop at all that cross-traffic. Very difficult time right now. Of course, rush hour upon us, and this driver going against traffic once again. Here's another intersection again. Pedestrians through the crosswalks there. Here, look at this bicyclist. Oh man.
Oh my gosh.
Unknown to that bicyclist. Wow. It's unbelievable. So,
and that's almost when you wish that the
so
PD,
desperate to get away.
Yeah, that's almost when you wish that Ontario PD, had the sirens on so that people like that woman or man that was on that bike would have some kind of warning.
No warning from sirens, but a possible hint of things to come as the driver goes off-road, crossing the median as he attempts to find any way to evade capture.
I'm sure a lot of people that are in this neighborhood who might be home already, hearing at least 2-3 airships above them, wondering what's going on and turning on the TV to see this. We ask you to just be careful and heed the warning to stay indoors, because these are the kind of situations where we could see that they might foot bail into your neighborhood. But now he's getting onto the 605 freeway, as it's the 105.
It's the westbound 105, but it's not for long.
Coming out of Norwalk. All right,
my
and
God.
now, wow, onto the berm on the side of the freeway. One thing has been a constant with this driver. He keeps moving, whether it's a red light, whether there's cross traffic or pedestrians, he continues moving. And look at this, with an opportunity on the freeway, instead deciding to go off-road, and there you see law enforcement ready to potentially box him in as he tries to come back out onto the freeway. And look, that looks like he's going underneath.
Oh,
Is he going
he's
underneath
going into a wash. It's,
Yeah.
Yes, he went under the bridge there. He went down the embankment of the wash, under the 105 freeway there, and now not coming out. So it's likely he's on foot at this point, but pulled under there. Those officers were right alongside of him on the transition road onto the freeway when he decides to just go off-roading there down the embankment, a very steep embankment, and now just completely underneath that bridge there, waiting for the suspect to pop out. But so far, nothing.
That is incredible. What you just saw there, we're going to try and re-rack it, is the car go on to the freeway entrance and then make it onto the berm there on the side of the freeway and down into the wash. We are overhead now, and we believe that the suspects are there. Did you see somebody running there?
Yeah, somebody ran toward the chopper's direction, right underneath what would be the eastbound transition, and nope, that's a biker.
Okay.
So yeah, we saw movement. Somebody
There he
underneath
is.
there. Yeah, there you see him underneath running.
There he is, yep.
The suspect who recklessly drove that stolen truck out of the Ontario area is hidden under the freeway transition on foot after electing to abandon the wide-open freeway, off-roading into the wash, and as reports suggest, crashing into a chain-link fence, rendering the truck immobile.
Law enforcement in a situation now where they're going to have to get down in there. They clearly know he's down there. There was at least one black and white right on him as he went over the edge into the wash and then the foot bail. So they're clearly aware of his location and the situation they're dealing with. How they go about bringing this suspect into custody ought to be interesting.
And it's about to get more interesting as a figure in a black hoodie, potentially the suspect, emerges from under the freeway and stumbles towards a homeless encampment.
Boom, just beneath the camera shot, and look at him go. This potentially is a suspect, so it looks like you call him with a black hoodie, and what's he going to try and blend in here potentially? This is not the first time we've seen this. An effort to blend into a crowd, be it a homeless encampment or a building, a parking garage, hospitals, casinos. We've seen it all. Law enforcement up against it here. Yeah, you wonder how good of a description law enforcement got. This driver was down into the wash. That is not the same person that walked into the homeless encampment. Did they get eyes on that? That's the same person that just went in there. We don't know again if that's the suspect, but this is what law enforcement is dealing with. Did they get eyes on this individual when he jumped out of that stolen truck, or perhaps beforehand during the pursuit, enough to know what they're looking for?
Yeah, exactly. It's so difficult to say. Here I'm going to zoom into someone here. There is a tent under there, and so difficult. There is quite a few people that are down there in that homeless encampment, but right now, so far, that person is still unsure which one it could be. It quite possibly could be that one that. And here comes a vehicle out of nowhere. This could be potentially the suspect in that vehicle. That came out of nowhere.
Yeah. A lot of definitely a distraction and confusion. The suspect has caused that for authorities at this point. But there are a lot of eyes on this area with two choppers, one from Ontario PD and one from the Sheriff's Department, along with media airships. And now we've got our eyes on this random car that came out from under there.
That random car that emerged from the wash makes its way back into residential streets. Any thought it may be the suspect are dashed as it pulls up along a patrol car, appearing to give them a tip of what they witnessed under the freeway. Sky 5 pulls out, the full scene unfolding below, though no sight of the suspect. But that doesn't mean there's no resolution to this case. As reports suggest, officers and K9 units eventually did locate him. The driver found soaking wet in a change of clothes he found inside that homeless encampment. His previous outfit found inside the stolen truck. The truck left abandoned after a wild pursuit. That pursuit caught on camera. It's October 17th, 2025. Dodgers fans are lining up in Chavez Ravine for Game 4 of the NLCS, a victory for the boys in blue, sealing their ticket to the World Series. Meanwhile, a show of a different kind is unfolding on the 14 freeway in Santa Clarita. A procession of CHP vehicles are in pursuit of a silver Toyota. The chase beginning in the Antelope Valley. The reason for that chase, a bit of a surprise.
CHP saying that this person initially, they were trying to make a stop on the car for a cell phone violation. So possibly this person was seen on the cell phone and now wanted for felony evasion as we make our way through the Santa Clarita Valley and towards the Newhall Pass. And we'll see if this driver decides to go through the Newhall Pass or cut up the 5 freeway. But for right now, all we can tell is that it's just the driver in the vehicle. Looks to be some items in the back seat there, a lot of clutter. Have not seen anybody in the passenger seat at this time. And the tires are still intact, so they have not tried to put out a spike strip just yet. However, that could change here very shortly as they're looking to bring this to a stop before it gets into the San Fernando Valley. Again, this person wanted out of Antelope Valley, possibly on the cell phone, and now evading the CHP.
Traffic surprisingly light on the 14 on this Friday afternoon, but the driver in that silver Toyota thankfully isn't using the open road as an excuse to push the pedal to the metal. Instead, he appears to be respecting traffic laws, traveling around 65 miles per hour as he stays in the middle lane.
The vehicle supposedly is registered out of Lancaster, and we can see in the driver's seat, it's been a while since we've been able to see inside a car that's being pursued. Generally, they're tinted windows, but you can see clearly in the driver's seat there. Lots of items in the car. Not knowing whether or not this person is armed. CHP has not mentioned anything in regards to whether or not they believe this person to be armed, or if they know who this guy is, other than the fact that he was supposedly seen on the cell phone and now not wanting to surrender to the CHP.
The line of CHP vehicles is staying pretty close on the Toyota's tail, though a pit maneuver is unlikely even on this sparsely populated freeway.
Usually when these guys or women are being pursued and they put the window down, typically they're waving their arms or throwing out money or doing something erratic, but very calm, at least from what we saw. There was a little clutter in the back. It looked like a bunch of papers, possibly, who knows what's in the back, but no passenger, according to Rich, at least from their vantage point.
Again, this is the 14 South. Rich said that they were watching to see if this driver would take the Newhall Pass. Rich, I'm not sure if we've passed that point yet here in Santa Clarita.
We are coming up on the intersection, the interchange right now, and you know it's funny. We said the traffic was light, but right as the CHP was attempting to throw out a spike strip, that silver pickup was there in the slow lane, and they were unable to throw out the strip. So they're going to have to make another attempt here.
Let's rewind. Did you catch that moment? The pre-positioned CHP officer standing on the side of the freeway abandons his spike strip deployment, avoiding the collateral damage of deflating the tires of the innocent driver in the silver pickup. Meanwhile, the pursuit on the open freeway continues. The suspect, who failed to yield after a reported cell phone violation, leaves the 14, committing to the southbound 5 into the San Fernando Valley.
This driver seems to be following traffic laws at this point, not weaving in and out of lanes, not going excessive speeds. Was there any sort of erratic driving before we picked up the pursuit, Rich?
Not that we had heard. Oh, there's a spike strip. See there? So he just threw it from the center divider there. And
Wow.
Not entirely sure if they made contact. Trying to follow up on the police scanner in the other ear at the same time. So bear with me as I'm trying to relay as much information. Generally, they will say whether or not the spike was effective or not effective. And I did not hear that call. So we'll see if the tires here deflate shortly, but they were able to get that spike strip out right at the transition as he was picking up the 5 freeway from the 14. Negative spike is what I'm hearing right now. So there's
okay.
So at this point, what I'm hearing is that he was able. Either they didn't get the spike strip out in time, or he was able to maneuver around it. But the second attempt with the spike, and this person has managed to dodge both of those. So for right now, you can see there's virtually minimal cars here on the freeway, which also kind of works in favor of the CHP because they could try and find those opportunities to try and throw out a spike strip. Whether or not they would attempt to pit this person, I guess we'll see. The speeds are still relatively high, so they wouldn't do it at full freeway speeds, at 65 miles an hour. But if this person decides to maybe take an off-ramp and slow it down, then maybe they could get in there and try and spin the car around. But at this point, really only the spike strips are going to be an effective way to bring this guy to a stop.
Having evaded two separate spike strip attempts on two separate freeways, the 14 and the 5, the driver decides to try his luck at a third freeway, the southbound 405. The fleeing suspect continuing to abide by traffic laws with, it appears, both hands on the wheel.
Oddly enough, I have not seen him on the cell phone.
Yeah, I was going to say, both hands have been on the wheel since we started looking for this person. And Rich, is there any specific information about the cell phone violation? Was this person weaving because they were texting? Any specific information about the violation?
No, the CHP did not provide it. They quite literally just said cell phone violation. So
all right.
I'm under the assumption that this person was seen on the cell phone while driving and now evading the CHP. So that's really the only information they have provided at this point. And then again, the plates come back to Lancaster, so it likely started in that area. I know it was coming down the 14 for a while before we could catch up to it. As when we launched, it looks like maybe he's got his hand up there. He could be texting.
Maybe.
After transitioning from the 14 to the 5 to the 405, the driver appears to grow tired of the freeways, slowing as he approaches the Nordoff exit.
We're now in the San Fernando Valley, and he's made his way towards the slow lane and slowing down. Looks like he might be exiting here at Nordoff. So let's see what transpires here. If he's going to come to a stop, he's really slowing down here. Oh no, he's got cars in front of him. So, all right, CHP has an opportunity to box him in if that car. Now that truck, that looks like that truck looks like DWP to me.
Oh, interesting.
Looks like a city truck there, but let's see. If that truck would stop, CHP might be able to box this guy in.
Coming up, the driver wanted for a cell phone violation, now off the freeway. CHP appears to have the suspect boxed in, but do they really? The dramatic conclusion, caught on camera.
Looks like he might be exiting here at Nordoff. So let's see what transpires here. If he's going to come to a stop, he's really slowing down here.
After a lengthy pursuit on the 14, 5, and 405 freeways, a driver originally stopped for a cell phone violation exits the freeway at Nordoff in the San Fernando Valley. 3 CHP vehicles are close behind, looking to bring this to an end.
If that truck would stop, CHP might be able to box this guy in, but of course we would never encourage that, but just based on what we're seeing, it's a possibility.
It seems like he could take a hard left if he wanted to, but he's not really attempting to do that. This is the tricky part for officers. This is the dangerous part.
Yes, could simply go up on the curve there and try and make his way around. Let's see this. Okay, so there's no one in front of that truck. He's kind of trying to make up his mind on whether he wants to get involved here or not. But okay, so he's pretty much moving out of the way. CHP's gonna have to get back in their car, and this guy still, even though he had an opportunity to stop and surrender to authorities, he's not wanting to do so yet. So
I do wonder why they wouldn't box him in at that point when everything's so slow. They're on an off ramp. Didn't seem to be a lot of other people around.
Well, yeah, there's only three CHP here, which generally we'll see about 6. Might make things a little easier, and of course, with a civilian right there in close proximity, they got to be careful, because if they had gotten out, boxed this guy in, You know, they got their guns drawn. This white truck all of a sudden would be in the crossfire with the CHP, and that could just create an even bigger issue.
The chase is back on as the fleeing driver continues to evade officers while still obeying general traffic laws. 3 CHP units continue to follow on the ground, a police helicopter up above. But as the chase spills onto surface streets into LAPD's jurisdiction, more cars and choppers could soon be getting involved if this drags on any longer. But as the procession approaches a red light at Woodley, it appears that might not be the case.
He's going to stop.
It's so interesting to have a driver who's obeying all the traffic laws and driving politely in a pursuit, also just not pulling over for the police.
Gosh, there are a lot of pedestrians on the far right over there. I know it's so tempting to be in that situation. It does look like they are backing out of the way, which is a very smart move. Every time we have these pursuits, the officers that we talk to always say, do not get involved. As much as you think you want to help or watch or take videos, it's just not safe. It hinders their work, but it also puts you in danger. He's not going.
It looks like, no, the light has turned green, so he's just stopped there basically in the crosswalk. You could, so even the other direction of travel is stopped. They see what's going on. They see the guns drawn. Nobody is moving here as far as vehicles, with the exception of the people that now want to turn. But for the most part, they're not. Some people are turning here, but you know, it interrupted the intersection here for just, at least for a short time. And those people that were on the sidewalk have moved out of the way. So we'll see what's going on. But yeah, you know, it makes you wonder what else is happening with this individual when, you know, if it was something as simple as a cell phone violation, and next thing you know, you're leading the CHP on an hour-long pursuit.
CHP officers have their guns drawn as the silver Toyota sits idle at the intersection. Then, movement. The window rolls down, revealing a welcome sight for officers.
Here's the keys and the lantern. He's going to possibly drop them out the window. That's exactly what the officers want to see first. You know, turn off the car, throw the keys out.
Oh, got a mask
on. So now they know that the possibility of this car taking off again is minimal. And they're going to want to see some hands. And I don't see, it's kind of difficult. It doesn't look like, don't believe he's got anything, at least in that right hand or the left hand. Appears to be wearing a mask, like a, you know, medical
surgical mask.
Yeah. And still a lot of items in the car. It's, well, we got bags in the back seat, so hopefully nothing else that's at least for this person, nothing else that's illegal.
So we can assume that they're giving him directions right now on what to do. Is he eating
Absolutely.
peanuts
It looks
out of
like
plate?
he's got his lunch with him. So
My goodness.
may want to enjoy that before he surrenders. But here he comes out of the car.
The driver, with some food now in his stomach, emerges from the car, facing off with 4 CHP units. Just as he complied with traffic laws, the suspect appears to comply with officer commands as he backs towards them, arms stretched high in the air.
We're on the corner of Nordoff and Woodley, as you can see, here in the North Hills area. This person was wanted for a cell phone violation, led CHP on a pursuit southbound on the 14 all the way from Lancaster, and has now exited and has decided to come to a stop at the intersection, throw out the keys, and back up with his hands up. And we should see him being taken into custody here in just a second. They'll search the car, but it didn't appear that anybody else was in there. And there you go. All right, so suspect now in custody.
What a bizarre pursuit this was, Rich.
Usually they have them get on their knees too, which seems dangerous. Whew.
Yeah, it didn't appear, because this person did not seem to be reckless or armed, you know, basically making any sort of criminal threats. I believe they felt confident this person would be able to just back up and comply. And, you know, to be honest with you, we don't know if this person tried to contact law enforcement.
As arresting CHP agents search the driver, removing items from his pockets, including the cell phone that likely set off this whole series of events, officers also take a peek inside the Toyota, cluttered with bags and other items. The pursuit termination, arrest, and investigation already tying up traffic at the intersection. But maybe the traffic won't last long as an officer decides to take matters into his own hands.
You can see now the officers driving this vehicle where they'll be able to maybe assess the situation a little more in detail instead of being in the middle of the interstate or the intersection.
Yeah, great move by the CHP here to help out traffic. So they know that this was going to tie it up for a while. So yeah, just pulling over off to the side here.
Great.
And you know, likely won't be any need for LAPD to come over here and assist with traffic control, and they'll put this guy, the suspect, the driver of that car that was leading CHP on pursuit. They got him in the back of the cruiser, so they should be wrapping this up shortly.